Well, as you all know, there's been a ton of different Democratic primaries that have taken place across the country in numerous states. And as you can see here, I've got multiple Justice Democrats who had races today, some pretty big names in progressive politics right now. And I don't have the results for every single race just yet, but we have enough to at least gauge whether or not tonight was a success or not. And overall, with the preliminary results that we have, even though some are still coming in, it was a pretty bad night, admittedly so. That's not to say that there weren't some victories here and there, but for the most part, there were some pretty big blows. So, because I like to end things on a positive note, let's start with the bad news first. So first of all, when it comes to Michigan's gubernatorial race, with 79.6% of precincts reporting, Gretchen Whitmer, the corporate Democrat, defeated Abdul El-Sayed, and she received 51.9% of the vote to his 31.5%, and Sri Thanadar, which is basically just the lying fake progressive, came in third with 16.6% of the vote. Now, this is very disappointing. Bernie Sanders, Ocasio-Cortez, they came out to stump for Abdul El-Sayed. He was a staunch progressive, and he was within striking distance, according to polls. I think he was just 7 points behind, and he ended up losing by about a 20-point margin. So this one is really the biggest defeat, because if he would have pulled off an upset here, it would have been huge. It would have been another Ocasio-Cortez situation and would have made national headlines. And needless to say, I'm pretty disappointed with the outcome here. People in Michigan, they could have had someone who genuinely cared about representing them, who would have fought for state-run Medicare for all, but instead they opted for someone who was backed by the establishment who takes corporate money. So that's really, really disappointing. Abdul El-Sayed was one of the best progressives, and he lost. So I know that this won't be the last that we see of him, but this is a gut punch. Let's be real. This is really tough. Now, when it comes to the race with Cori Bush, another Justice Democrat, I've had her on the program, and this is in Missouri's 1st congressional district. With 92% reporting, Lacey Clay has defeated her 57.1% to 36.3%. Now, Ocasio-Cortez did a lot to give her a boost towards the end of her campaign. As soon as Ocasio-Cortez won, she was stumping for Cori Bush, so it seemed more likely that Cori Bush could have pulled off an upset. And Lacey Clay is someone who is a corporate Democrat, and he has been attacking Ocasio-Cortez because she had the audacity to endorse Cori Bush. So the fact that that one was another loss for us, that one hurt, because I was really watching Cori Bush. There's something really special about her, and she really is a progressive leader. And to have her lose, again, really disappointing. So let's move on. Getting to Washington State. Now, a little bit of context. Washington State has jungle primaries. It's kind of like California's primary system, where the top 2 vote getters in either party heads to a runoff. So you could have 2 Democrats, you could have 2 Republicans, you could have a Democrat and a Republican. So all that progressive Democrats in this state needed to do was come in second, and they would advance to the general election in November. So there were 3 progressive Democrats running. There was Sarah Smith, Dorothy Gasquet, and Tamborine Borelli. So when it comes to Tamborine Borelli, she was running as an independent against Denny Heck, and she was challenging him because, 1, he's a corporate Democrat, and 2, he refused to actually represent his constituents and won't even co-sponsor H.R. 676, the Medicare for All bill. So in that race, District 10 of Washington, with 69% of precincts reporting, Denny Heck comes in first with 59.7%, and Republican Joseph Rumbles came in second with 31.4%, although Tamborine Borelli, she did come in third with 4.6% of the vote, which is actually pretty high, considering she decided to run outside of the Democratic Party, which is really bold of her. It's certainly brave, and I commend her for it, but she ran a fantastic campaign. Again, another phenomenal progressive that I hope to hear more from. And when it comes to Dorothy Gasquet, with 100% of precincts reporting, She unfortunately did not make it to the runoff. She came in 5th place with 4% of the vote, which is another gut punch. So I know I said that there's some good news. We'll get to it, but it's a tough night so far. Now, there's a teeny tiny shred of hope in Washington's 9th district with Sarah Smith. Now, by the time you see this, that may change. Either all hope is lost or we're still hanging on. But with 62% of precincts reporting, Adam Smith, her corporate Democrat opponent, is currently in first with 50.3% of the vote, and Republican Doug Baser is currently in second with 26.6%, and Sarah Smith is in a close third with 23.2% of the vote. So she's so close, and if she can hang on, she could advance to the runoff and then still continue to challenge Adam Smith. But it's currently not looking good. And she, again, one of the best progressives running. So this is really difficult. So Sarah Smith I just had her on the show again. She's been on my program 3 times. I believe in her. So to see that she has not likely advanced, that's a tough pill to swallow. Now, getting to the little last bit of bad news, I guess you can say. So there was a special election in Ohio's 12th congressional district between Republican Troy Balderson and Danny O'Connor. Now, I was not paying attention to this race because I didn't have much hope. I knew it would probably be close from what I gathered from the race, but Danny O'Connor is a really, really shitty candidate. Let me just be frank. He's horrible. He's a corporate Democrat. He's against Medicare for all, and one of his priorities, if you check his website, is to basically work with Republicans. He wants to, quote, find common ground with Republicans.
I will work with congressional Republicans. I'll work with President Trump. I'll work with congressional Democrats if folks will sit down and be serious and commit to rebuilding this country so that people who are ready to go to work have the opportunity to do that. We have a chance to send a message, not about partisanship, but about pragmatism. That's what's at stake. I'm Danny O'Connor, and I approve this message.
And with 100% of precincts reporting, even if he was a shitty candidate, he did pretty well, even though he ultimately lost. He was narrowly defeated by Republican Troy Balderson, and this race was so close that Troy Balderson only had 1,754 more votes. But as you can see there's a Green Party candidate who got 1,100 votes, and if you check Twitter, he's already being blamed as a spoiler, even though the math doesn't add up. But I think it's clear that Danny was just a pretty shitty milquetoast candidate. I think this is another one of those instances where the Democrat didn't excite voters, and just a little bit more excitement. And he could have pulled it off, but he was a shitty candidate, awful candidate. So that's not surprising, but it's still bad news nonetheless, because I'll take a corporate Democrat over a Republican, but I'm not going to be excited or enthusiastic even a little bit. So now that we have all the horrible bad news out of the way, there is some good news. There's some pretty big wins to hang on to. So when it comes to the state of Missouri, they actually became the first state in the country to vote to repeal an anti-union right-to-work law. This is fantastic news. When you put the policies up for a vote, or you go issue, by and large, voters are progressive, and this it proves our point even further. So great news there. Now, when it comes to candidates, so James Thompson, running in the 4th Congressional District of Kansas, with 100% of precincts reporting, he actually defeated Laura Lombard in a landslide victory, 65.3% to 34.7%. Now, he ran before as a progressive. I was very enthusiastic about his campaign. He ran again, got the backing of Bernie Sanders, Ocasio-Cortez, Justice Democrats, brand new Congress, and he pulled it off. This is great news. This is a very strong firebrand progressive. So take this win. This is important. Another win in the 3rd Congressional District of Kansas, with 21% of precincts reporting. It's still early, but Brent Welder is leading Sharice Davids by 6 points. So this is good news. Again, this is with 21% of precincts reporting. We do have to be cautiously optimistic, but for the most part, looks like he's going to pull through here. Now, a surprise upset in the state of Michigan in Congressional District 13, which is a special election to fill John Conyers' seat. With 85% of precincts reporting, Justice Democrat Rashida Tlaib is currently leading. So we don't know for sure if she's going to pull this off, but it's very, very likely that she is on the path to an upset. So by and large, we lost a lot of progressives, but at the same time, not all is lost. There's some good news. Certainly wasn't as good of a night as the June 26th primary was, of course, when we had Emily Sirota, Ben Jealous, Ocasio-Cortez all win, but at the same time, it was still, we had some good wins tonight, right? But we lost a lot of good progressives. And let me just say this, to all of these progressives, they ran phenomenal campaigns. And I also want to extend another thank you to not just them, but all of their volunteers, because we talk about how wonderful these candidates are, and really they wouldn't attract volunteers if they weren't such outstanding candidates, but their volunteers are working tirelessly for all of us. They're knocking on doors every single day. They're phone banking every single day, and we don't even know their names to thank them. So to all of the volunteers of Sarah Smith, Dorothy Gasquet, Abdul El Sayed, Cori Bush, anyone else, you all make progressive victories possible, and you should really be proud. Hold your head up high. Don't think that you did anything to lose or that you didn't work hard enough. Understand that every single race with the progressive who's not taking corporate money is going to be an uphill battle, because 9 times out of 10, big money is going to win. It's going to prevail, and the progressive will lose. But at the same time, you guys ran amazing, amazing campaigns, and do not ever doubt for a second that you didn't work hard enough, or that we all think you didn't do enough, because you guys were excellent. It didn't pan out for us this time, but we can try again. And like James Thompson, maybe the second time around you could prevail. So look, let me just say this now to the candidates. You all are so inspirational and amazing. Don't go away. Keep talking. Keep being leaders in the progressive movement, because we need your voice. It's crucial. We need more progressive leaders. And I think that you all are excellent. So I hope to see more of you guys. So look, let's not try to be too down on ourselves. This does suck overall, but at the same time, really hang on to those wins that we got tonight. The 3 wins, or actually 4 if you count the ballot initiative in Missouri, because look, these are important. We can't get demoralized. We got to think of the long game here. So I'm not going to lie, tonight felt like a gut punch, but I'm not going to stop. Never going to stop. That shouldn't surprise anyone. So we'll just keep going. And, hopefully there's another primary coming up on the 11th of August with Kaniala Ing. Hopefully we get a win there. So, we'll see, and we'll be watching closely either way. Fantastic campaigns. These progressives are absolutely inspirational, and I truly, truly look up to them.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.